welcome back to Dear Migrant Scholar. As always, I've got my co-pilot here, Obi. Fortunately, Charles couldn't join us today, but we have an amazing guest for you, and that we can't wait for you to meet. So I'm going to let Obi take it away. Please, Obi, do your thing.
Thank you, Chimaka. So today we have a special guest for this episode, and our special guest for this episode is Ife Durosinmi-Etti. I had to get the Etti part right. So, Ife is the CEO of Herconomy, a woman empowerment fintech company that offers financial services, networking, jobs, and capacity building to women in Nigeria. Now, she's going to tell us more about her company in a bit, but let me just share some insights about her background with the audience so you understand why she's a special guest with us today. Ife is a sales and marketing expert with over a decade of experience in marketing, fashion, manufacturing sectors. Her first degree was in biochemistry, and she's also got an MBA in global business. Now, you were based in the UK before moving to Nigeria, right? And you've also got a passion for women and children, which has led you to launch startups in the past that were focused on disrupting the baby and child industry to kind of reduce poverty and also empower youth and promote access to quality education, which is what we are passionate about. Now you've been recognized for your work focused on women empowerment and its impact on business in Africa. Now, you were also one of the entrepreneurs who made it to the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center's 2021 winter class, and your picture was actually on Times Square in New York. Tell me about that. So that's like, what's up? So I don't know. I'm curious, how did that make you feel to see your photo on Times Square? That's really dope. Yeah.
I was super excited. Like when we were told, because while we got into the class, we were told that this would happen, but we just didn't know when. So I was like, when they now told us, okay, it might happen on so and so date, I was like, I have to be in Times Square. But it clashed with another commitment that I had. But it was just super unbelievable, and the fact that it was done on International Women's Day was very significant for me because of all the work that we do, around the empowerment of women through Herconomy. So, and even with my past work and all of that. So it was really exciting to be there amongst other phenomenal, entrepreneurs across the world. So it's been an amazing journey, even through the Nasdaq program, just meeting an amazing coach who was really interested in our growth. Like, the way we got into the program, obviously you have to apply, you get shortlisted, but sometimes you might feel like the culture in the US is different from the culture here in Nigeria, but they got it. Like, you just realize that it's just about the ethics and the willingness to learn. There's nothing difficult or nothing different about the way businesses are grown. You just have to have the same work ethic. You have to have the willingness to be open, so it was an amazing, time with Nasdaq, and they still push us forward for even more opportunities. So I'm excited to be part of that program.
That's really great, really great. And you were also recently selected for the Microsoft for Startups program or so?
Yes.
So that's really exciting.
Someone on my team actually saw it. Like, I don't even know how he saw it, but he was like, oh, he thinks that this is going to be an amazing opportunity for us, especially because this program is done for startups that are about to scale. So this is not even startups that are just about to start, because I went through the Startup Accelerator bootcamp. I went through an accelerator earlier on last year, which was to help us, better our business models and all of that, which was perfect for where we were at the time. But this particular accelerator is actually focused on scale. So I'm excited, that we're going through this now, because we're about to now scale. We've redone our product and all of that. So I think it's just the right time, and we got into it at the right time, especially because we're going to do our next raise towards the end of the year. So this is just the perfect time to just ensure that all the groundwork is done and everything. So yeah, I'm excited to be part of the program.
That's cool. All right, so first question for you, can you tell us more about what influenced your decision to start Herconomy?
Okay. So, my personal background. So, my mom is a lawyer and my dad is an engineer. So, growing up, my mom pretty much gave up her career to pretty much take care of us. She had a business on the side, but it wasn't a business that she was looking to scale. And a lot of women are in this bucket. They just start one mom and pop shop on the side, maybe sell shoes, sell bags, sell clothes, do whatever they want, but they're not really thinking about how this business is going to scale to different parts of even Lagos to even start with, not talk of Nigeria and then Africa and then the world as a whole. They're just saying, okay, I'm doing this income, I'm earning 500 naira today, 10,000 naira tomorrow, and they're not necessarily thinking about scaling. But after about 18 years, obviously I had gotten into university. I had a younger sister who had also gone to the UK. So my mom decided to start a business, another like now a solid business, right? But she didn't have the capital to start that up. And I realized that, oh my gosh, like this thing is not just peculiar. It wasn't a story that was only peculiar to my mom. It was a story that was peculiar to a lot of women across Africa. Me personally, I was working in one of the biggest, manufacturing companies or FMCGs, I would say. And I got a good job. I got into the company as a young African talent, and you have this, route to progress your career very fast and all of that. I had a good salary, but I couldn't save money. I was basically living from paycheck to paycheck. Every month I was always looking forward. Okay, when is the salary come? When is the salary coming? But I started noticing that even other people could save, like people who had better information, but I couldn't. Right? And I knew that this thing was also another problem that a lot of millennials like me were facing. So I decided to start saving. This was after I had even left the job. Imagine just toiling away 5 years of my life, not saving a dime. So I quit my job and I started a business. And at this point in time, my salary was 80,000 naira. Like, this is after earning the big bucks in this multinational. I started earning 80,000 naira from my business and everything. But I was like, you know what, even if it's 80,000 naira, your mindset is all about the mindset, right? Your mindset needs to change. So I started saving 1,000 naira a day. And obviously, at the end of the month, that would mean that I would save 30,000 naira. But I was like, how much would I now have to live this my baby girl lifestyle that I like? So it pushed me again. It pushed me again to start doing other things to give me additional income, because I knew that every day that 1,000 naira must drop. So I now started doing. I knew how to write. I started doing CV writing. I started helping people draw up their profiles. This was in addition to the income I was making from the business that I had, and it just started growing. Like, I started doing CVs for, like, I think 10,000 naira and profiles, and then my first customer was Antifunke Bokno, and I was like, like, if somebody like this needs this kind of service, then it's like this thing, people actually need it, and people just kept on coming. In less than a month, I moved that money up to like 30,000 naira. Because I was getting a lot of people coming and say, I want to do profile, I want to do CVs. So I said, you know what? I started earning more money. So I started saving from 1,000 naira, little by little. We moved to 2,000 naira a day, to the point where I even moved to 10,000 naira a day. So I shared this story with a lot of people, and people resonated with it, because the truth is we actually don't know how much money goes through our hands. It's possible that I was earning that much and I would have just blown it again, because I'll have been thinking, oh, my lifestyle has improved now, I have more money and stuff like that. But I decided to be very diligent about my savings. So I shared the story on my Insta stories, and a lot of women were interested and intrigued at how I was able to save, considering being relatable, because a lot of people had followed my journey from when I was in my 9-to-5 job to now starting a business and all of that. So a lot of people told me that they would like to save with me, so we decided to do like a savings challenge. And a lot of people jumped on the savings challenge, and this was in partnership with one other startup here in Nigeria. So we did the savings challenge, and to my surprise, about 500 people joined the savings challenge, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I didn't realize that a lot of people had this challenge per se. So we said, okay, you can do either 1,000 naira a day, or 2,500 or 4,500. So depending on what your income level is and all of that, you just fit into any of the buckets. So we did that, and people were able to cash out in Christmas. So a lot of people were excited. So then we built our mobile app, and then we were called AGS Tribe. So we built our mobile app, and on the mobile app, because we had like little communities on the mobile app that people would join depending on what their interests are. For example, some people might be interested in business, other people might be interested in career, some people might be interested in parenting. So we just had different groups, and then we had one that we just called savings. But the app at the time wasn't really working the way we wanted it to work. So we just noticed that all the other groups, people, maybe we had like 500 people, 100 people in this group, 200 people in that group. But we had one that was savings, and over 1,200 people joined that group. And they kept on asking, when is the savings starting? What are we doing? What is happening? And we were like, okay, it seems like people want more, because that savings challenge was just supposed to be for a period, maybe just 6 months, right? We did 3 months first and then 3 months again. So they kept on asking, and then we just went dry for like a year, because we were thinking of the best ways to go about it. I had approached the savings partner that, you know what, we have this mobile app and we can actually embed maybe an API into this app so that we can start saving and we just earn, a certain level of commission or whatever, because I wasn't about to start, a savings platform. Like I couldn't even think of the financial implication of that, or even the financial skill. I was like, this is a different ball game. This is almost like doing a bank. Like I'm not even ready for that wahala. I'd rather just plug in an API and keep it moving. I don't want to have to deal with CBN or SEC or all of that. But at the time, they also weren't ready. They didn't have the API things and all of that was ready. And I had outsourced my build at the time, the app build for our community mobile app. So I just thought about it one day. I was like, you know what, if you cannot just keep wasting time. People are asking, and if there's a demand, then you need to act on it immediately. So we then got into this accelerator program, the Startup Bootcamp accelerator program, and they're like, Ife, start it. And I was like, hey, Jesus, I'm not ready. I started shaking. They were like, change the name as well. So then it was still AGS Tribe. They're like, change the name. And we already had Herconomy and all of that, but I was like, a lot of people, we had invested so much money in building the AGS Tribe brand, and a lot of people, locally and abroad, they already knew about this brand, and we had a lot of impact already. So I was like, is this the right time? So I then went back to the community, and I'm just so thankful for this community because they're very, very responsive.
So I think your story is also relatable to someone like me, but I'm very curious about me, because you've told us the story behind Herconomy. For you, what would you say is a vision? I mean, if I'm a listener listening for the first time and I want to know actually where is this business headed, what would you say is the business of Herconomy?
Okay, so we're aiming to become a bank for women globally. So we've seen the statistics. We know that, there's a problem with women owning bank accounts, women even saving, women having access to low interest loans, women having access to finance. Even sometimes it might not even be low interest. It might just be, no matter what the interest is, I want to have access to take a loan. And they'll tell you to go and bring your head, your husband needs to sign, all those things. So we're, it's just so weird, some of the things that you come across. So we're trying to build that ecosystem where women can thrive, which is why we're not even only focusing on just the banking or financial services aspect. We're also giving women access to the to capacity building, because we know that a lot of women, sometimes they take maybe 3-4 years once they get married, start having kids, to take care of their kids. So even if you're taking care of your kids, you can also build your capacity in that time. Also, you can also meet other women. So we're very, very vicious, in quotes, about some of our monthly events, because we know how easy it is for you to not have friends as you're growing. I've been very fortunate to still have my friends from even primary school, but I know a lot of people struggle with having friends or even acquaintances or even mentors or just people that you can even speak to and just bounce ideas across. So that community of people who are like-minded, who know that women should be empowered. We're trying to build everyone together and give them all they need to thrive.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. I'm just curious. I have another question, just as a follow-up question to ask, because you mentioned that your vision is to become a female-owned bank, or if we women bank. Does this also cut across the unbanked? Because I know there are a lot of women that are actually unbanked.
Yes. So Nigeria has the highest number of women who are unbanked in the world. So actually, Nigeria has the highest number of people who are unbanked in the world, and women fit into over 60% of that number. So it's obvious that we need to have this bank. we need to have a bank where women are comfortable to go into, and they know that they're going to get some of the resources that they need to grow, whether it's their businesses, whether it's their careers. So we know that the gap is there, and we fit very perfectly in the middle.
When you were talking about your events that you organize for women, I was like, oh, I've seen pictures and videos of those events. They're really, really, really like, they're really, really the talk of the town. It's like, you kind of like, it's usually really big, lots of bedu, like they would say. Anyways, now, I know, right. So now I'm curious, I know some of the work you do today are kind of focused on helping address some of the gaps we see when it comes to representation in most industry, like the tech industry and all of that. I'm just curious to hear your thoughts on what are some of the gaps when it comes to representation of, I could say minorities, like women and others, in the top industries today in Nigeria. And what are some of the things or recent initiatives you have worked on to kind of help bridge this gap? I know you do a lot of work too when it comes to helping women accelerate their career in industries. So, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I love that question because when we were actually looking for a CTO, and women are highly underrepresented in technology, and I wanted a woman because of the kind of business that we're building, and it was extremely difficult. So some of the things that we're doing is to actually do these capacity building workshops. So we call it the Lightbox sessions, where every week we bring a subject area expert to come and talk to and educate our women about, on different topics. So this week it might be on finance, and another week it might be on something else. And very, very soon we're launching something called the Herconomy Academy, and this is in partnership with Google. And this even takes what we're doing even further. It takes us to the next level where, women can actually be certified on certain topics. So some of the areas we're going to be covering are like digital marketing, and there's a lot of opportunities in those areas. You can literally sit down in your house and have a digital marketing company that is global, that you're having global clients and all of that. And there's a huge demand. A lot of tech companies want to grow very, very quickly. So they're thinking, okay, what are some of the easiest ways to grow, and who are the credible people in that industry? So we're covering different topics, and these are topics that are focused on the future of work. So you can rest assured that we're deep diving into all of this. And some of the other areas, even politics. So we've partnered with a company like Elector to ensure that more women are participating in politics as well. We know that we cannot do all of these things ourselves. So we're partnering and collaborating with all the other organizations who have the expertise to actually execute on some of these topics. So we're very, very interested in seeing a lot of women in different areas thrive. And because a lot of people see us as a credible organization, a lot of people are looking to also partner with us, even providing opportunities. So for example, last year, when the pandemic hit and everything, or 2 years ago when the pandemic hit, Facebook was giving a grant to people who were affected by the pandemic and all of that. And they reached out to us and said, okay, we know that you have this community of credible women, who are professionals. We have this grant opportunity available, and we did like a capacity building workshop to ensure that they understood how to apply and tap into these opportunities. So that is why community is also important, because if they know that there's a pool of people in a certain place, more opportunities will come to that pool. So women need to find some of these opportunities that they can plug into and see how they can better themselves, their careers, or their businesses.
That's really good. Yeah, and just to talk about what you say when it comes to communities, that's one of the things we're trying to do, like to build a community around alumni, because we know that is one way we can help transform education, right? Because if you have alumni like in a group, they can also be like a pool of mentors for students and all of that. So that's interesting, and I like what you're doing with politics too. 2023 is going to be a big year in politics, so I'll be curious to see some of the changes you guys do on that front.
A lot of women, didn't get their tickets, but at least we saw a few women who were successful with their tickets. So at least we've seen that we've moved the needle, at least even if it's 10% more than what it was last year. So we're getting there.
we need to be involved if we want to change the political landscape. So like young people have to get involved. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
This podcast is brought to you by IESE Business School, also known as IESE. IESE is one of the world's leading business schools dedicated to continuous growth and progress. Since 1958, this institution has formed global leaders, making a deep, positive, and lasting impact on people, businesses, and society. IESE Business School focuses on creating positive professional excellence, integrity, and spirit of service, using programs that enhance transformative personal and professional growth. Think IESE. It's a way to learn, a mark to make, a world to change.
I'm actually curious about mentorship, because a lot of things you do, some of these things were probably self-taught, or you had some women who informally mentored you, right? These days you have proper coaching classes where people want to mentor you across certain particular career pathways, or generally just mentor you because they see something in you and they want to, groom you to be that person that you're supposed to be. Now, for you, personally, what role did mentors play in your own life, building your career and through the different pivoting that you did with your career as well? And how are you also assembling that within your economy?
Okay, I think mentorship is super, super important, but I also feel like you don't need to have direct contact with a mentor. So a lot of people are fixated that I want this person to be my mentor, and sometimes it puts a lot of pressure on the mentor. So I feel like you should have people, obviously, who inspire you and people who you look up to, people you can ask questions about certain aspects of your life. The first, I think, mentor in my consciousness that I think I had was my sister's husband. I was 9 years old when they got married, and he used to work in Standard Chartered. So he was somebody that I really, really looked up to, because he was very, I think his progress was extremely fast when he started. And one of the things I learned from him was humility. I think I remember one day he told me, he had a boss that would say, oh, she should help him. He should help her, I think clean her shoes or something like that. And he wouldn't even see it as anything. But some people, especially like these Gen Zs of today, they're like, clean your shoe for what? How can I do that? but it doesn't, like some things, like it don't take anything from you, you can just do it. So apart from obviously humility, he was very, very diligent about his work. He was very, very knowledgeable. I learned a lot of things from him, when I wanted to start a business, when I wanted to choose my course of study, even though I was very confused, but he would just encourage me and say, it doesn't matter, just graduate from school. I started with chemical engineering, and, at the time I wasn't failing, but I knew that I hated engineering math. So I knew that there was no way in this life that I'll finish with engineering. At the point when I now wanted to change my course, my parents were like, no, you're not failing, you're doing okay in school, blah, 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 you can't change it. So I didn't change it in my first year. So in my second year, I knew that if I continued, I would just finish with F9. So I just went ahead and I changed it and stuff, and I changed it to biochemistry. At that point, because that was the only other thing that I could change my course to. And even though I loved biology and chemistry from secondary school, and I didn't even do anything business oriented, like even for GSC, junior WAEC, I didn't do business studies. That was how strict of a science student that I was. So I didn't think it was something that I could have even considered in university. So I just went straight. I just said, it's biology and chemistry. That's the only thing that I can change to. And I actually like biology and chemistry. Okay, let me just change to it and graduate from school. So that's what I did. Yeah, but when I did my internship in a huge pharmaceutical company. I knew that almost that mixing of paracetamol was not my thing. So then I knew that, okay, let me just graduate from school and go and look for something else that I like. And I like the fact that I was very, very adventurous about what I wanted. Like I said, you know what, even if I don't find, I wasn't scared that, okay, I've changed 100 times, I will still change again, till I find that place of rest, so I think where I found my place of rest was when I did my NYC. So I did my NYC in a bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and I was just like, oh, I like the environment. Even though people complain that banking, late hours, like I didn't care about the late hours. Like it wasn't even a thing for me, And Standard Chartered, to be honest, they don't have like long late hours like the regular local banks here. But we still had like long hours on some days and all of that. I still made mistakes, Sometimes some everything doesn't balance out, but you still find a way to make it work. But the way that what I loved about it was my interactions with people, and I realized that was my strength. I liked selling stuff. I could sell anything. So I said, you know what? I think this is where I can build something out of here, even though it's not in banking. Yeah, even though it's not in banking, but something that I could relate to people. So even if it's like marketing or sales or something like that, I knew that I would thrive in that kind of environment. So I then decided to go and do an MBA, and I wasn't going to be specific because I knew that sometimes I can be very indecisive of what I want to do. So an MBA would have given me that generalistic approach to life. So I did an MBA in global business, and it opened up my mind to a lot of things. We had a lot of simulations. So our simulations are, putting you in the real life, making you simulate something as if it was real life, and you make decisions and you see if you're successful or not. So I really, really loved, my MBA experience. So immediately after that, I started looking for a job here in Nigeria, and that's how I think that meant like just having that mentor in my life at the different points. And I've had so many amazing mentors. There was a time when I wanted to start or when I had started my entrepreneurship life, and I was about to, they asked me to pitch. I was shortlisted for a pitch out of 1,000 people. They selected 5 of us, and they're like, oh, these are the 5 fantastic entrepreneurs. And when I got to the hall to pitch, there were over 1,000 people seated, and they were like, I should pitch. And I was like, hell no, I'm not doing this. And my mentor at the time, she wasn't even my mentor at that time. She was just somebody who was part of the program and was very significant part of the program. And she was like, Ife, you can do it. You can do it. And I was like, no, how am I going to pitch in front of all these people? I give up. I didn't even have my product here. And there was another guy who had all his products. Like everything was chat for him. I was like, hey, God. She just said, you're going to do it. And I went on stage and I did it, and I won. I won the pitch. And it wasn't a pitch where only 4 people had to decide on the winner. The 1,000 people had to vote. And I was the winner, and I won by like maybe 2% or something minimal. But it was so significant in my career that I realized that I could actually continue to do it afraid. So those are the points where I feel like mentors are super, super important. That's instance literally changed the trajectory of my life, my way of thinking, like everything I've done from that point. And her name is Owen Omogiafo. She's the president of Transcorp group. So she's been so phenomenal in my career. Like anything I need, like I'll literally just buzz her, whether it's personally, whether it's my business. She was always pushing for me, mentioning my name in rooms where I could never even dream of. So I feel like mentors are super, super key. I also have another mentor from Wimbiz, who has also been phenomenal. Like anything I'm doing, she would support, she would come, she was just like an amazing, listening ear. So if you have people like that in your life, so it wasn't as if it was like, so Wimbiz gave me her as a mentor, like they match made us. But Madam Owen, she wasn't match made, she just took an interest in me, and I reciprocated. So now she's like my big sister. So mentorship comes in different ways. It's not like, oh, you just see somebody and just say, oh, this person must be my mentor. And if the person says, oh, right now I'm overwhelmed, I don't really have time, but if you have questions, just try to build a relationship first and don't be too calculated about it. Sometimes some people feel like, oh, I want this person to be my mentor, but all they want is a relationship with that person. But they must put it in that mentorship box and name that relationship to be mentor-mentee. And sometimes it might put a lot of pressure on the other person. So obviously you should have people in your life who you look up to, who you are accountable to, and stuff like that. But everything doesn't have to be legally formalized, and you don't have to say, oh, we must see once a week for 2 hours and stuff like that. I feel like it puts too much pressure. But there's so many people, even beyond these people that I've mentioned, that have helped me in my career. There's also Mr. Ife Durosinmi-Etti, who is also like a family member. He used to have this variant advisory mentorship program where he used to help like entrepreneurs like grow their businesses and stuff. It was like a mini MBA in 2 days. you come and they train you. He brings also experts and all of that. So that was actually the first ever program that I went to when I decided to become an entrepreneur. And, it was just a learning program for me, my mind. That's what I was going to, because I wanted to learn. But a year later or 2 years later into that program, or even being just part of that ecosystem, they just came up with a grant opportunity and said only people who had been to the program. And it was such a small program. So let's say we had like 25 people in each cohort, or maybe 40 people max in each cohort. So they were like, only people who had been were eligible to apply for the grant opportunity. Trust me, Ife Durosinmi-Etti, I jumped on the opportunity. And guess what? I was so scared that I wasn't going to be selected, because everybody could see my name and his name, as related. But I prayed and I was like, God, let this not take this away from me, because I know I put in the work, into that application. And coincidentally, I was selected as one of the winners. So I think there were 2 winners, and I was selected as one of the winners. So, and that just helped me. Like, imagine somebody else that, he used to be the MD of Skybank. Imagine somebody else like that, of that caliber, looks at your business plan and says, okay, this is a business that can transform Africa and all of that, and believes in you and stuff. And I think that just gave me the confidence I needed at that point in my life. So like, mentors are super, super key. Till today, there's nothing I've done that he hasn't supported, whether being a guest speaker or a special speaker or something. He would just show up. Our gala this year, he was one of the first people to come. I think somebody that is very, very busy. He has so many things that he's doing with his time. So people like that are super, super key. And this is somebody that he's actually not my direct uncle. He's actually my husband's uncle, but he's taking a lot of interest in the work that I do. So I'm just super grateful for some of these people that have helped me at different points in my life. Yeah. And even in investments, there's, Dr. Toye Akindele, who has also helped me provide, he sponsors some of the projects that I've done, and, to give grants to women as well. So they're just different people who would help you on your journey. And it's important for you to, identify them and also provide value to each and every one of them as well. Don't just be a taker.
Yeah.
Also be a giver.
Yeah.
So providing value is very important. That's what I think from your own take as well. It doesn't have to be very formalized as we try to make it this days. It could also be very informal. It could be people that are close to us. It could be people that we meet on our career journey, as the case may be. Obi, you wanted to say something?
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, just staying on the mentorship stuff a bit, and saying like, so one of the things we do at Alumni Unite is to also help provide that platform that can help people get the mentorship they need, right? And because we know how important it is to people, and one follow-up question I had for you was today, a lot of people focus on getting like career guidance at the early stage, and now focus on mentorship much later in their career, when they feel like, in fact, some people try to get a mentor when they think they're not making progress and all of that. Like, what's your recommendation, or what are your thoughts on when should people actually seek a mentor? Like, should it be much earlier in their career, or even when they're a student? Like, at what point do you think it's better to kind of try and get a mentor so you can make the right decisions, either in your career or just in life in general? Like, because we have students, I would say, who will be listening to this too. So and our goal is to see how can we make sure that they're making the right decisions, and seeking people that can help them get the right, help them with the right insights that to kind of make the right decisions to navigate life and work. So go ahead.
Okay, I think it's super, super key to have mentors as early on as possible, because the truth is, and it's important to also know that you might not find all the qualities you want in one person, and that's why I described the different sort of mentors I've had over the course of my career, whether it's business, whether it's personal life, whether it's career wise. So it's very, very important for you to have people, like I said, that you're accountable to, people who can also share their own experiences. There are times in life where things might be going bad for you, and if your mentor tells you, babe, I've been through this thing. It's not only peculiar to you. You will come out of it. You'll feel better about what you're going through, which is why I say it's important for you to do things early on. You know, I've had times in my career where I thought, oh my gosh, you know, I cannot get past this. But I'll tell you, this one is small. I lost billions and I bounced back from it, right? And you'll be like, okay, if this person could do it, and they're not lying. And, you know, it's important for you to have people who are also realistic and who are also real and relatable. Because some people, a lot of, like, especially older people I've seen in my own experience, they forget the beginning of their journey. They forget how they had to hustle, how they had to go to somebody's, you know, office every day for 100 days before the person answered. Like Dr. T, one time he told me he had to walk on the streets of New York door to door, as in he knocked on over 100 doors before he got a yes. You know, imagine, and these are doors that he didn't literally know anybody inside. So it's very, very key for you to have or listen to those experiences, because you just feel like people just dropped from the sky. It's impossible. I know somebody who became a billionaire from only one customer. You know, and I know people who it took them 100 customers before they hit their first million. You know, so it's important for you to know the different experiences and just know that because your own is like this doesn't mean that you're a failure. You know, you might fail at different businesses before you get to your hit business, right? You know, when I spoken to Iye Boyeji, Iye said, you know what, if I started a business, you know, one time, and the business at the time didn't really do well. I think it was like a book business, right? He was trying to digitize like books, like a library or something like that, but that didn't really work. But there are people who have done that same exact business that it worked for them. So guess what? It wasn't just the right time for that business. It wasn't as if it wasn't a good business, right? And he's gone ahead to start or co-found, you know, businesses like, you know, Andela and Flutterwave, and, you know, now he's doing a Future Africa. So there are just so many things that can happen along the line, and it might just not be you to execute that business, or it might just not be the right time, or you've not just met your destiny helper. They're just different factors that affect, you know, the success of a business or a career. You know, personally, I was in a job for 5 years and I wasn't promoted, you know, but I didn't realize, I was frustrated at the time, but I didn't realize that God was keeping me there to learn something. I didn't realize that, okay, if you needed to develop your writing skill, that was probably why you were in this thing for such a long time. Or you needed to even understand, you know, the corporate social responsibility aspect of things. You needed to understand impact work. You know, I didn't really understand. At the time, I was like, they didn't choose me for the marketing, you know, department that I want. You know, how come every other person that has come in after me that I probably even helped, you know, they had already been progressing. I was happy for them, but I was just thinking, why is my own like this? You know, I was just, you know, sometimes you just don't know, but it's important for you to also be happy for those people, because, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, you're going to be fine. You know, so, and now all of us are back, you know, everybody is now, you know, doing okay and stuff like that. And guess what? You might not even do okay immediately. It might take you another 20 years, and then you meet a destiny helper, or you start up, you get one idea that will just, you know, you just become a billionaire overnight. So, like, different things just happen. There's time and seasons. You know, you might even be up today and be down tomorrow, and it might be somebody you've helped, you know, 20 years before. That's why it's also good to help people that, you know, can just come back one day and just, you know, help you, you know, later on in life. Or you might be the one that's pulling somebody else up. You know, they're just, you know, times and seasons. So it's important for you to know that there are times and seasons, and, you know, you need people to help you. Like, you are not an island. You know, people are the ones that are going to mention your name in rooms that you can never be in. And I've gotten so many people put my name forward, and that's why visibility is also important, because when you're visible, that people will also remember you. If you're just working in silos and nobody knows what you're doing, you're empowering women, but you yourself, you're not empowered. You know, things like that. There are different ways to look at it. So it's important for you to be visible. Build your own brand, you know, leverage social media. Social media is free. At the time when I first started posting a lot of things and, you know, identifying myself as a relatable entrepreneur, a lot of people used to tell me, Ife, you write too many long stories on Instagram. Like, there was a time it was like, I was even sitting down with my friends and they're telling me, Ife, your stories are too long. At first it was affecting me, and I was like, maybe I should stop writing this, my, you know, long captions and all of that. But one day I was like, you see, if you don't want to read it, close your eyes. You know, there are people who are interested in reading this thing. You know, it's true. And guess what? Now companies are telling me to come and teach them about storytelling, like huge conglomerates, and I'm just like, imagine if I had stopped. And that's why it's so key for you to be your authentic self. You know, I didn't even know that those captions were long. When I was writing my book, it was supposed to be a video. right? I didn't think I was writing a book. I wanted to do a recording to teach people how to write grants. And then my the person who was doing the video recording, when she looked at my notes, she was like, if I would like this thing to be an ebook. She didn't do the recording again. No. She was like, she needs it as an ebook, even her as herself. The next thing I was like, okay, let me just flesh out the points to make it an ebook. Before I knew it, as I was fleshing it out, another friend of mine said, oh, add this other thing to it. I typed out 190 pages by myself. So is it Instagram caption that will not be a problem for me? Do you understand? So I typed everything top to bottom by myself on my laptop. Like a lot of people, they will first talk to somebody and the editor will not write it for them and stuff like that. I never had been an author as one of my aspirations in life. I never envied authors. I didn't even know the importance of writing a book. I didn't even think that people would think it was a big deal. But when we launched it, it was as if the cankerworms, well, let me not say cankerworms because that's a bad word. It was as if something just exploded. Like people were just like, this book, oh, so transformational. I read it and I got a grant. I did this and I was like, oh my gosh, just imagine if I just let people, like what people were saying, affect me. Like it's so important for you to be your authentic self, because those people then now come and meet me and tell me, oh, come and teach me how to do this. I was just like, I should teach you. Are you serious? So yeah, such is life.
That's a very, very, very insightful story, and also very related. But I think for me to take away from your conversation, the importance of being your authentic self. You're you for a reason, and the conversation about time and season. Sometimes some things are not just right. The market is not just ready, for what you were about to release to the market. And then it's also important that we are able to tell the story, which probably takes me to the next question I was going to ask you. Because when we think about mentorship, yes, it's relationship, but you need to also, sometimes you learn from other people's stories as well, telling the stories and making the stories mainstream as well, because people can be mentored, by reading your contents or having a relationship with
your
you
life
as
story,
well. From your own perspective, now thinking about Africa, where we stand, there's a lot happening for us now, especially within the fintech space. A lot of attention has been drawn to that space. A lot of promising entrepreneurs. Your startup, our startup as well. So there's a lot happening, right? It's important to start documenting all of these journeys as well. For you, what would you say? How would we bring this thing when we speak about mentorship now? What would be your advice about bringing mentorship mainstream, especially for Africans? How can we do this successfully? And what is the role of them private sector in more like exploding or expanding on all of these little initiatives happening here and there? What's your take on this?
I feel like making mentorship mainstream, I think you guys are actually doing that. So obviously sharing people's stories and making it accessible digitally. Like I said, I have like Oprah Winfrey is my mentor, but she's never met me. I love, what's my sister's name? The person who married Prince Harry. I love her. Like, I love her story, Meghan Markle. Oh my gosh, like I feel like we're going to see very soon, and I'm just going to hug her, and I'm just going like, oh my gosh, girl, you got this, and you inspire me. So these are people that I've never met, and I know that I'm even going to meet Meghan Markle. So let me not say I'll never meet her, but I know that soon I'll meet her, right? So I feel like it's important for you to have platforms like this, and this kind of platform would actually make it accessible to a lot of people. Like if you know that, okay, you like Ife Durosinmi-Etti, for example, and for example, I'll post it and say, oh, I did this podcast. People who feel like, they want to connect with me, they can listen to it, even if they cannot access me personally. So it's important for you to start reading about these people, understanding their own pain points and how they were able to navigate through some of those challenges. And it's through platforms that you can definitely not talk to everybody on a one-on-one basis, but you can start tapping into them like this. So for example, Meghan Markle, the day I meet her, I've done so many interviews when she had her first baby, when she had Archie, which is my nephew, by the way. Like I had because a lot of people know that I love her so much. A TV station actually contacted me and said, oh, they would like me to come and talk about it. And this was a nationwide TV station. So I'll just package everything and say, see, you've been my sister since, this is how much, I love you and all the things that you've been doing, and I understand your pain points points, how you moved to Canada. Like you can share some of these experiences. That this is not obsession, by the way. I just like her and what she stands for. I'm sure you guys know that there was a pots and pans issue that happened back in the day. I think she was 9 years old, and she had to send an email to the company talking about the ad that she saw online, where they were making women look like, oh, their place is only in the kitchen and all of that. And it made I think it was Procter and Gamble, actually. I think it made them change the ad, and it made them change the copy of the ad. And I was just like, this is somebody who has been speaking up for girls and women since she was very, very young. So I really, really connected to that. And I followed her story, from when I was conscious enough about her, from when she was in Suits before she even decided to get married into the royal family. So so I just love what she stands for, right? So it's important for you to be able to learn from these people. I just see how they navigate challenges. And even though they might, some of these people, they're human, right? They might mess up at some point. I always tell people, don't put me on any pedestal, because I can fall anytime.
That's a good advice.
So just leave me. I'm just living my authentic life. Very key. Don't put me on any pedestal, please, because this life is one, and I also like to enjoy myself too. And there's sometimes that you might just not live up to people's expectations, And a lot of people have once they put you on that pedestal, they can never just think that you're a normal human being again. So it's important for you to know that people are human and they can make mistakes, and it's also okay for them to make mistakes. The same way you can also make a mistake, right? So it's important for you to be able to find those mentors, and even though you cannot connect with them, reach out to them or connect with them through some of this podcasts and their TV interviews and all of that, and just understand that mentorship doesn't have to necessarily be one-on-one. You can actually, connect digitally as well. And the world is digital now,
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So I do, we're going to do a lightning round soon, where we can just ask you like some questions to hear your thoughts about them. So when you talk about connecting with people, even though you can't meet them in person, so I do follow a lot of CEOs, and so I have a bunch of YouTube videos I watch and learn about them, and that's the way I kind of like get mentorship from them without even meeting them in person, right? So a lot of people in the business world, this former McKinsey leader, there's so many names to call, so I won't start calling them here. All right, so, funny enough, one of the questions I'm going to ask you for the lightning round is, which current CEO or former CEO do you admire the most?
So I'll bring it home, like to Nigeria, and unfortunately or fortunately for me, she's also my mentor, Owen Omogiafo. Nice. I love what she stands for. I love that and I love Dupe Olushola, and they're both in the same company, right? So Dupe is the CEO of Transcorp, the hotel, and Owen is the CEO of Transcorp Group. So Dupe Olushola is somebody that I don't know personally. We've met like twice, but I don't know her personally. We don't have a personal relationship. But I just love that she loves her work and she loves her life, and she shows it. She's not trying to hide her from, oh, I'm the CEO so I cannot have fun, oh, I'm the CEO and I cannot wear a bikini, things like that. I love that they do the work, and the work shows for itself. Whenever they achieve like 300% increase, both of them are posting it. I love how there's such a power combination, because they work in the same company, but they're not competing with each other. They're in sync. She's the CEO of the group and she's the CEO of Transcorp Hotels, and they're just working together. And that's what I feel like women supporting women should be. One woman is pulling another woman up, and they're pulling other women up as well. I've seen Owen travel with her team. I've seen how she connects with them, and I've seen her being stern. Like when her face changes like this, you just know that, okay, I have to sit up. Even with me, sometimes she just sent me a message that, Ife, what is this I'm seeing? And I was just like, okay, I have to retract and, behave myself again. So I think both of them are absolutely, wonderful women. So one is my mentor, like we have a personal relationship, and the other is somebody who I connect with her on social media. Like sometimes when I see her post something, I'll just like it. I'm like, hey, you go, like, I'm hailing you from here. You're my spirit man. That kind of thing. Like, I love the way you're bossing it up at work, and you're bossing it up as well in your personal life. There are also a lot of other women that I admire. I'm trying to even think about their names, even globally. Like, I love Oprah Winfrey. I love what she stands for, and she's not ashamed to say what the things that she stands for. I love Viola Davis. I love how she's so intentional about her life, how she, I watched her documentary very recently. I love how she wrote down the things that she wanted out of life, and she, prayed about it every day, and those things eventually manifested, and I love how she was able to triumph despite all of the things that she went through, from bullying to, people calling her ugly and, stuff like that. I love that she was able to triumph and be the best version of herself. I love, there's so many people, like, I love Cheryl, the COO. She's not the CEO, but she's the COO of Meta now. I love how Schanberg. I was going to say Stanberg, but Stanberg. I love how she Sandberg, yeah. I love that she was way older than Mark Zuckerberg, but she was able to bring on her experience, and she didn't look at it as if, oh, I'm older than this guy. Oh, what kind of dream does this guy have? How is he going to connect the whole world? She was able to buy into that vision, and she stayed with it, for many, many years. I love the partnership that they both have, and I love that she was also a family oriented person. Like, she put her family at the core of everything that she was doing. How she, even though at the beginning of Facebook, when everybody had to stay late and all of that, she would say, see, today, I can't stay late. I've promised my kids so and so, and she would go, and she was still busting it up and, meeting up her deadlines and doing all the things that she was meant to do. Now she's about to start a new family, and she's taking time off of Meta, even though she's still going to be on the board, to, focus on her family now. So I love that about her. So I just love how, women, in the workplace are just busting it up. And there's so many women who, even though I don't know them personally, and they might have their own personal struggles, but I love how, in spite of their struggles, they're able to still manifest all the things that they're manifesting and making an impact, globally.
Fab. I mean, some of these women are also personal favorites. I particularly like Michelle Obama. Like, she's my mommy from afar. Oh God, I love her story and everything she stands for. Now, I
love her style. Like,
she's not someone that you can easily ignore. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's carved a niche for herself, and she's built a brand for herself as well. Not very memorable person as well. I have a very another question to ask you, lightning round. I'm curious. Do you have a nickname? What are you called? what do your close folks call you?
That's funny. My close friends call me Diesel. Diesel or Foxy. It's so funny. Diesel or Foxy. So my name is Ife. So Ife Diesel or Foxy. I don't even know where. I think Foxy, because I used to have an email, a very weird email address when I was in school. It was Foxy Chocolate.
Oh my word.
Foxy Chocolate. So now it's just growing on them, like, Foxy or Diesel. Like, whenever we go on them, like, Diesel has come out to play, So I just laugh, and we just keep it moving. So yeah, Diesel or Foxy. So
if I see you in Nigeria, I could call you Diesel or Foxy.
You can. I'll just say, who knows me as Diesel? Yeah. So yeah, my close friends call me Diesel.
And Diesel sounds like the name for a musician. So
Shizzle my Diesel,
I swear. It's so funny and because a lot of my friends also feel like I have a lot of energy. So sometimes, like, even when my aunties hear them calling me Diesel, they'll feel like it's Diesel, like petrol Diesel, like, oh, energy god and all of that. So it's just so weird how everything just intertwines and all of that. So yeah, it's so weird.
Let's go. Yeah, it's been good having you as our guest today. We've had an exciting conversation.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed hearing your story about Herconomy and learning about the impact you've had on women and all of that. It's really, really exciting. I'm so glad to have you, and thanks for making out time to join us here today. I'll just hand it over to Chairman to kind of wrap it up for us.
Yeah,
Chairman,
thank you so much, Obi. And again, thank you so much, Ife, for coming on Dear Migrant Scholar. Hopefully, I get to see you in person one of those days. And we get to also do things together, especially for young people as well. So thank you so much for coming on board. And as well, thank you to the sponsors of this podcast, IESE Business School. Please stay focused, stay productive, and please continue to remember that you have to be your authentic self. If you want to hear more about IESE Business School, please look out for the show notes as well. Till the next time, till next episode, I bid you adieu. Goodbye, guys. Have a very wonderful day.
Goodbye. Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode. We're grateful that you stuck around this long. If you want to learn more about IESE Business School and how to get started with your MBA journey, please check the show notes for a link to helpful resources. Don't forget to check us online at alumnunite.co and follow us on social media to stay updated with all the incredible work we are doing. Till next time, stay focused and continue to reach for the skies.